The private jet sat motionless on the rain-soaked runway while millions of dollars hung in the balance. Airport technicians had already given up. Every passing minute meant another fortune slipping away, and one of the country's most powerful CEOs stood beside the aircraft, furious and desperate. Then a quiet single father carrying an old toolbox walked toward the broken jet. No one expected the exhausted mechanic to solve the impossible. No one expected that when the billionaire offered him any reward he desired, the man would lower his eyes and whisper the one wish money could never buy. He didn't ask for riches. He didn't ask for a promotion. He simply said, "My daughter needs a mom." Before we continue, if you believe kindness can change lives and that everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Humanity Tales. Your support helps us bring more emotional stories that inspire hope around the world. Ethan Carter had spent nearly 12 years working as an aircraft mechanic at a regional airport. His hands were rough from years of tightening bolts, replacing engines, and solving problems that others couldn't. His co-workers admired his skill, but very few knew what his evenings looked like after the airport lights dimmed. Every night, he hurried home to a tiny rented house where his 8-year-old daughter Lily waited with homework spread across the kitchen table. Ever since Ethan's wife, Sarah, lost her battle with cancer 5 years earlier, father and daughter had become each other's entire world. Every morning began before sunrise. Ethan packed Lily's lunch, braided her hair as best as he could after watching countless online tutorials, and reminded her that she was the strongest little girl he knew. Lily never complained, but Ethan often noticed her lingering outside school whenever she saw other mothers hugging their children goodbye. She smiled through the loneliness, yet her eyes quietly searched for something she no longer had. Despite working overtime almost every week, Ethan barely managed to cover rent, groceries, school supplies, and medical bills left over from Sarah's illness. He skipped meals so Lily could enjoy birthday cakes. He wore the same work boots until the soles nearly separated because buying Lily new sneakers mattered more. He never considered himself unlucky. He only wished his daughter could grow up feeling complete. One stormy evening changed everything. A luxurious Gulfstream jet made an emergency landing after reporting hydraulic system failure. The aircraft belonged to Victoria Hayes, the billionaire CEO of one of the largest technology companies in America. She was on her way to finalize a merger worth billions of dollars. Missing the meeting would likely destroy years of negotiations. Airport engineers surrounded the aircraft for hours, replacing sensors, checking electrical systems, and restarting onboard computers. Every attempt failed. Tension spread across the hangar as executives made frantic phone calls while lawyers calculated staggering financial losses. Ethan had quietly finished his regular shift and was preparing to leave when his supervisor stopped him and asked him to take one last look. Ethan climbed beneath the aircraft with a flashlight and listened instead of rushing. Years of experience had taught him something machines never admitted directly. Sometimes they whispered before they screamed. Within minutes, Ethan noticed a tiny hydraulic pressure valve hidden behind a panel no one else had removed. A nearly invisible crack had caused the entire system to malfunction. The replacement part existed inside the maintenance warehouse. 20 minutes later, the engines roared back to life. The entire hangar erupted in applause. Victoria Hayes stared in disbelief as her aircraft systems returned to perfect condition. She walked directly toward Ethan, whose hands were still covered in grease. She had spent years negotiating billion-dollar contracts with world leaders and investors, but she had rarely met someone who remained so calm under enormous pressure. Grateful beyond words, she told Ethan she believed extraordinary people deserved extraordinary rewards. She promised she would grant him one wish, anything within her power. The surrounding employees imagined what they would ask for. $1 million. A luxury house. A sports car. Early retirement. Ethan stood silently for several seconds. His eyes drifted toward the small family photo tucked inside his worn wallet. Finally, he spoke. "My daughter needs a mom." The hanger fell completely silent. Victoria expected another request. Perhaps he meant financial assistance or childcare. Instead, Ethan explained everything. He described Sarah's illness, the sleepless nights at hospitals, the promise he made before she passed away that Lily would never feel abandoned. He admitted that he had tried dating again, but every relationship faded because no one truly wanted the responsibility of raising another woman's child. Lily never asked for a new mother, but Ethan noticed how she secretly watched Mother's Day celebrations at school from a distance. Victoria listened without interrupting. For the first time in years, the billionaire executive wasn't thinking about profits, shareholders, or corporate strategy. She was thinking about her own childhood. Her mother had died when she was only 10 years old. Her wealthy father buried himself in work, believing expensive gifts could replace affection. They never did. That painful memory never truly disappeared. As her jet finally departed that night, Victoria couldn't stop thinking about Ethan's simple wish. Weeks later, she quietly returned to the airport. Not as a CEO. Not surrounded by assistants. Just as Victoria. She brought coffee for the mechanics and spent time learning about the people who kept airplanes safely in the sky. During those visits she often crossed paths with Ethan, and eventually she met Lily. The little girl greeted everyone with kindness despite carrying sadness far beyond her years. She proudly showed Victoria drawings she made of airplanes because her father fixed them every day. One drawing showed 3 people holding hands beneath a bright blue sky. Victoria noticed the third figure had no face. Lily simply smiled and said she hadn't decided who she would become yet. That innocent answer stayed with Victoria for days. Over the following months, she found herself visiting more often. She attended one of Lily's school science fairs after Ethan couldn't leave work in time. She helped bake cupcakes for a class fundraiser even though she had never baked anything in her life. She learned how to laugh again without checking her phone every few minutes. For Ethan, something unexpected was happening. He wasn't falling in love with a billionaire. He was watching someone slowly become part of his daughter's happiest memories. Victoria discovered that true success wasn't measured by stock prices but by hearing Lily shout excitedly whenever she arrived. Months turned into a year. One evening, while watching airplanes disappear into the distance, Ethan finally realized his impossible wish had never been about finding someone perfect. It had been about finding someone whose heart naturally chose love. Victoria had done exactly that. She never tried replacing Sarah. She honored her memory. She encouraged Lily to keep photographs of her mother beside her bed. She listened whenever Ethan spoke about his late wife, understanding that love doesn't disappear simply because life moves forward. Eventually, their family quietly grew together. Not because of wealth. Not because of grand gestures. But because compassion had opened a door neither of them expected to walk through. Years later, Lily graduated from high school. As she stood on stage delivering her valedictorian speech, she thanked the father who sacrificed everything so she could dream without limits. Then she turned toward Victoria sitting beside him. With tears in her eyes, Lily called her the greatest gift life had ever given her, not because she had become another mother, but because she had chosen to love a little girl who wasn't born into her family. The entire auditorium rose to its feet. Even Ethan couldn't hold back his tears. He remembered that rainy night inside the airport hangar when a billionaire promised him one wish. He had believed he was asking for something impossible. Instead, life had answered in its own quiet, beautiful way. Sometimes miracles don't arrive wrapped in wealth or fame. Sometimes they begin with one act of kindness, one repaired airplane, one compassionate heart willing to see another person's pain. The greatest blessings often appear when people stop asking what they can gain and start asking how they can help. If this story touched your heart, please leave a comment telling us what part moved you the most. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe to Humanity Tales. Your support allows us to continue sharing stories that remind the world that love, kindness, and hope still exist, even in the most unexpected places.